Hey guys, your Friday host, Aldo and Rio, back from another video here on the Pagan Perspective. And this week's topic is a pretty long question, so I'll go ahead and put it down below. But just to throw a quick summary in there, the main idea of it is basically whether or not do we use any type of visualization, and then also people who struggle with visualization, does it hinder their process along their path? And they also want to know if we have any tips on whether or not on how to achieve powers of visualization, how to enhance it, and so on and so forth. By the way, this question came from my very own core. So let's go ahead and jump straight into the question. Actually, before we get to the question, I want to address the books that I mentioned last week. I love reading, so I'm kind of a voracious reader. Like if I get into the swing of it, I'll just like read all day and all night if I have the time, right? So, I had some off time. I literally just read this thing, read the voodoo book, the Haitian voodoo book from cover to cover, pretty quickly. So I finished that book and I was just so amazed at how much information is in there. I had no idea that Haitian voodoo, because there's different types, Haitian voodoo operated in that way. So I'm very, very excited about that book. You might want to look for the book review on my personal channel. In fact, I'm going to do a book review on it because it was something that was very interesting to me to see the different types of deities, the different classes that they have. It was very vast. It almost reminded me of the Hindu religion, where it's so many different aspects and different types of deities, where it just feels more complete than what I'm used to in some of the other pagan pantheons and things. So I'll move right along to the question before I bore you guys about that. But again, another book that I'm reading is another book by Michelle Ballinger, and the reason why I bring that book up is because I just finished the Haitian voodoo book so fast. I just wanted to just jump into something else. The book I'm reading of hers right now is Dreamwalking. And it's a fascinating book because from the first couple of paragraphs, it reminded me so much of my particular style of shamanism, right? I had actually been working on a book for a while that had some of the same exact components that her book does. For example, I was focusing on building an astral temple because I built my own up. This is where many of my thought forms I construct in that area, and then I let them out of that area once they've learned and once they've matured enough. And then if I do want to retire, I would retire them back to that particular astral world. So when her Dreamwalking book spoke of building an astral temple, using that temple to construct a gateway, and then using that gateway to connect to other people's dreams, I never really used it in that way. My gateways were for navigating different astral realms and different realities. My gateways weren't really ever used to punch through into the real-time world, like the waking world, like where you see me now, or where you're like viewing me from, like our real-time world. She was able to do this in her book, Dreamwalking. So it's fascinating. I'm going to finish that book, and again, it's going to be another book I'm going to do a book review on, and I'll have to kind of reassess where I was going with my stuff because I don't want it to be too similar. But it's probably a good thing that our methods are similar, because that shows that there's someone else out there who is doing the exact same thing and has a following and has a published book. And so I think you guys may find what I have to say in mine to be of substance. But let's jump into visualization, because I've already kept you for almost 4 minutes before I edit this video. It looks like it's 4 minutes now. So visualization, how I go about it, as I've spoken, I built an astral temple when I was very young, and over time it went way beyond the 20 feet or so that Michelle Ballinger would like you to start with. But I mean, this thing is like a town. It's like a city, literally a massive city, a living, breathing city. That's kind of the way I see it, with its own heart and core and its own technology and terminology and food and culture. It's just amazing. It takes time to get to that level. The first part of the question is, do we use visualization? Absolutely. It's part of my path, as I mentioned before. I absolutely use visualization in my practice. Like shamans, I would say a huge chunk of what we do is visuals, right? Do I believe that not being able to achieve visualization will hinder your path? You can make the argument either way, to be honest. I mean, because there are people out there who say, well, if you can't see spirits, then it will slow you down because you can't learn from them. Well, if you can't hear them, you can't learn from them either. So it's all these different ways of looking at it. I feel like people's paths are very singular, very solo. Like your path is your own. It may be similar to someone else's path, but your path is a unique identity, almost like a fingerprint. And the lack of one ability may enhance other abilities. Or maybe at this time you're not meant to visualize right now because you may be pulling in things you can't handle right now. So that's not to say don't pursue visualization. Of course not. Always pursue whatever goal that you want. But I just want to offer comfort to people who are struggling with different aspects, visualization or otherwise, that just because you struggle with it right now doesn't mean that it's something that will always be a problem for you. For all you know, if you put enough effort into it, you may end up becoming one of the best visualizers around, right? Have I experienced hearing things and smelling things? Well, I posted a comment on Rich's video on Monday about a friend of mine that was deceased. It's like my best friend literally coming up as a child. And his death changed me greatly because that's somebody that, as a kid, we rode bikes up and down the street. We some of the first times of me ever going to an ice cream truck was with this guy. So he literally was my best friend. And then watching him pass like that reminded me that our journeys are very, very precious, and you have to live life for yourself. Don't live life to please other people. This path is your own, and do things that make you happy, right? So that's what happened when he died. So I was actually washing dishes one time and in my parents' place, and all of a sudden I literally heard him scream, LA. That's my nickname, means Little Alvin, by the way. And when he screamed it, it was the craziest thing because it literally was like in my ear, like in one of those ghost story movies. Like, it was in my ear, gave me chills, and I literally waited for a second, and I was like, what? I answered back. I was like, what? And looked around, didn't get a response. And then lo and behold, years later, when I'm blessed to be in a situation where I have people around me and things around me that allow me to contact his spirit later on, I'm able to confirm again that was him. So I've heard things before. I've most certainly heard things before. Is that a skill that I currently have? No, I can't hear things at will. They kind of come through as weird buzzes and things. For me, I can't for some reason, I can't focus the signal down to where I can hear it. It's almost like if you do EVP work or if you've watched the shows, how they have to slow down what they're saying. That's the way I hear it. I hear it's like buzzes and high pitch beeps and things. So for me, I have to find however way you do that by slowing that down. And if maybe one day I'll be able to actually hear them. So yes, I've had some quite interesting, at least one quite interesting experience with actually hearing. Smelling. Yes, I've smelled before. That one time I was on a battlefield. I'm located in Maryland, so we have a lot of the Civil War battlefields and things situated all up and down in my area. And I was at one of the battlefields, and I smelled a distinct corn smell. And it was so weird because there was no corn growing where we were. In fact, it was winter. So if I understand correctly, corn shouldn't even be able to grow properly in the winter. It should be dead, right? Well, no, I got a full smell like a lung full of corn. I looked around. I didn't know where it came from, and a few minutes later, when I read one of the plaques, it actually mentioned that this person's had something to do with corn. It was so weird that I was getting that at this battleground area. So that was my one time of getting smells. As far as getting visuals, I can build my inner worlds without much of a problem. I will say that I'm not really the best at seeing visuals as far as things that the gods send me, right? For me, it's very similar to how Rich described his situation. I would see it in my mind's eye, as he would say, but it would be more like a quick flash. So it literally would be maybe 1-2 seconds of what things look like. But recently I've started to get sensations of, it's hard to explain it. It's more of a quick whiff of the mindset of what was looking at that image, if that makes sense. So for example, if you could think of nostalgia almost, it's almost like the nostalgic atmosphere of what the person was going through who sent this, if that makes sense. I hope this is making sense, because I know we're talking about some very abstract things when it comes to visualization, sound, and smell, but it's more of the sensation of recording that memory. I've been starting to get that at random times. My stuff is very, very random if I'm not going to go into a trance state or do a deep meditation or go by way of dreamwalking, as Michelle would call it. So that's pretty much the way things work for me. Not the best. I'm not the best person at seeing visuals that people are sending me. But as far as my inner worlds, they're literally like real places. Like there's things, there's different drinks I like to drink. There's shoes and clothes there when I go there, and I know where they are, and I wear them when I enter my own astral realms and things. But I would definitely recommend reading. In order to help you guys on your journey, I would definitely recommend reading Michelle Ballinger's Dreamwalking book. It is amazing. It's actually where I would want to go with my own book. So if you enjoy that book, let me know, because I do have a little bit more of my own personal style to say. And post down below, what you think and whether or not you think you want to see something from me like this. If you are going to check out Michelle Ballinger's Dreamwalking book. But that's about all I have to say for the topic. I'll see you guys next time here on Fridays on the Pagan Perspective. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Blessed be.